Greetings. Evil Boy Genius and Connor here at the operation. I had a real shock the other morning, didn't I? I did. I got on the scales and I'll tell you how fat I was in a minute, or how heavy I was in a minute. But it was a shock. And I'll tell you why it was a shock, because about 10 years ago, 2009, I had my infamous Fat John moment when I realised, I mean, I'd known it for a while. I was overweight, I was drinking too much, I was eating too much, not doing enough exercise. And my whole life, actually, business as well was suffering. There's a lesson there. I'll come to another day, maybe. But really, I was just kidding myself that it was okay and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. You know, favourable mirrors, sucking in your stomach, that kind of thing. But it was. And I got to the point when I was 13 and a half stone, just a bit more, no, more. Nearly 13 stone, beg your pardon. And at 5'5" with a 39.5-inch waist, that is not a good look. I was looking at a cannibal. Yes, I was, honestly. And up until this point, my Fat John moment, I was just in denial, really. No, not quite denial, more a case of, denial. But I after this particular incident, I took my bike out that very day, stopped drinking for a while, started eating better, started hitting the weights a bit more, hit up my mate who was a British champion amateur bodybuilder, got a workout program of him and stuff, and everything changed. I mean, my life and business just changed. They've not looked back since. Until, well, there's no until. I mean, I've had my ups and downs, and particularly when I was on the anxiety medication, I put on a bit of weight then as well. Not because of the meds per se, but because I was so drained of energy in the gym. But it was a bit of a damage limitation. I didn't do too badly. But anyway, last summer, I was 53 years old. I was about, 8% body fat. I was in terrific shape, probably the best shape of my life. And I was strong too. But since then, I've been intensely putting on weight, building muscle. Now, necessarily, you have to put some fat on too. I suppose you can limit it, but, I'm not into this as a professional bodybuilder, so I don't take it as seriously as maybe a pro bodybuilder will. So there's some fat gain, necessarily. So I got on the scales the other morning. I was 177.5 pounds, which is about 13 stone 9 and some change. Almost as heavy as I was 10 years ago. And at that point, I had a momentary fucking panic. Another kind of, it felt like another Fat John moment. But of course, then I raised my eyes off the scale and looked at my gorgeous naked self in the mirror, pictures if you like, and I realised, actually, I genuinely wasn't that bad. Because I've still got the shoulders and the chest and my legs. They're still defined. They're still kind of vascular too, which is a good sign. So I'm big but lean around the chest and shoulders and legs. Most of my extra fat is being carried around the middle, because that's just middle-aged male fat deposition, and that's kind of what you expect, really. But the panic was still there for a moment until I realised, actually, it's not as bad as you think. Because the numbers on the scale only tell part of the story. And the rest of the story is in actually how I look, how my clothes fit. For instance, I can wear jeans that I bought nearly 6 years ago now. And they were tight then. I deliberately bought them tight so I'd loosen up and fit into them, rather than buying them big and loose. So, that was the panic. Now, what's that going to do with the price of cheese and business? Well, everything, because when you start marketing, really doing it seriously, it means investing your time. It means, perhaps more important for some, it means investing your money too. Now, you will be paying advertising costs, you'll be paying fees for someone like me to do it for you, and all you see is the money going out. And even when you are making a positive ROI, sometimes all you can focus on is the money going out. But the money going out tells only part of the story, just like the scale. What you need to do is look at the whole picture. Are you gaining elsewhere? Because I'm gaining. My shoulders are getting massive now. My biceps are getting huge, and my chest is getting bigger. My legs are getting bigger. I'm growing in the right way, in all the right places. Who are misses? As well as kind of losing ground in others, in terms of fat around my belly. And to be fair, most of it is actually in my belly. It's visceral fat, which is not good long term, especially at my age. But, when I start to diet again in a couple of months, that will come off first. So by the summer, I'll be lean all over again, but bigger. But you got to look at the whole picture. You can't just look at, one set of numbers and say, well, I'm spending all this money on advertising and all this money on your fees, and you know it's too much. You've got to look at the whole picture, not just one set of numbers. All right, so that's a nice short one, just like me really. So I'm off out of here. Panic over. I'll speak to you soon. Ta-da.